Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about auditing a website for accessibility issues. Now we are going to be doing this by using the Lighthouse plugin for Chrome. It's really easy to plug in. It's not an app, it's just a software that you can install from the Chrome store. But it's really easy to run. All you have to do is, once it's installed, you just right click, go to inspect, and then this page will come up, but you have to go to audits. Then you run the audit and your scores will come up for the accessibility. Now, the reason we audit for accessibility is to ensure that a website is accessible to people who may not be using a traditional computer. They may have a machine that reads them the page because they have eye impairments. They may have a machine that goes through everything that would be on a page, but they only have the hardware for their computer because they can't, everything is voice activated. They can't actually use a keyboard or mouse pad or anything. So it's really important to have these as a part of your page, not only from like a legal perspective, because there are laws in place that ensure that all websites, especially government websites, will be able to comply with these machines and be reachable for all types of people. But it's also important because your website should ethically be able to be reached by everyone. The reason that we make these websites are to create traffic and to teach people about something or bring something to someone's attention. So if you can't reach everyone, obviously there's a problem. So it's best to just do these few little things just to make sure that you could cover that ground. Now my scores here: performance, accessibility, best practices, search engine optimization, and the score for progressive web app. Now I'm about in the green range for most of these, or close to it, which I'm pretty proud of, but we're going to be going through why these scores came up and what I can fix about this page to make it more accessible. I'm pretty happy for my performance score, 83. This is because it's very, very organized. I utilize the organization tools on the website so that everything will read clearly. Like, it'll go from the headings are important, then go down to 1, read out the summary, 2, read out the summary. This is actually, it doesn't seem important, but it will help if someone is using a screen reader, and if you just have countless summaries on this page, they're not really going to have anywhere to stop, know the organization of it, know if something important is coming up, like a picture or anything. Also, I don't have pictures on this page. That's probably why I have a really high score. There's nothing for it to read if it was like an image, which, I mean, is good for my score, but it's not very advanced. But this is an advanced lesson. So I will, to see the metrics more zoomed out if you don't understand what just the basic part of it is. I did good with the first text and image loading, or both text and image loading, so that's good. But it looks like the speed of my site isn't very great. It looks like it took 3.9 seconds, and it was idling, and time. So it looks like mostly speed was the major issue, but then we have max potential first input delay. So this is the input delay that your users will experience as it's loading. So it looks like time is a major issue here, and there are some things I can do to make that better. They have tips here through the Learn Mores to maximize your score, make it higher, and fix your site for the better, which is really helpful. I prefer Lighthouse over other tools available. You could also try using the Wave tool, but Lighthouse is just so easy to install and easy to implement because it gives you so many suggestions. So I really, really love it. I would recommend it, especially to a first-time developer. Now we're on opportunities or accessibility. 100% for accessibility. It doesn't look like it really has any. It has manual checks that I can go through, but it looks like I did well on all of them. But the reason, again, that accessibility was so high is because everything's very readable. So there's nothing that would be complicated for a machine to read and explain to its user. Also, I have this link here, which I think affected the timing of the performance, but it's still readable. Like, it will say, this is the link. Do you want to go through it? And not. So it's still easy for the machine to register and just get through. So that's why accessibility is high. Looks like there are browser errors. Let's look at that. Looks like this is time to network request failures, things that could just not load properly. I'll have to go back through the code and add in some of their suggestions for code lines that could beef up the loading times for this, because that is annoying. Also, that's a thing when you think about it. That's a thing that affects everyone. You don't want your users to be waiting here forever. If they're waiting more than about 10 seconds, they're just going to leave the site and find a better one. So this really isn't even just trying to make it available to everyone. It's just to make it easier, and everybody can appreciate that. So it's good to look at it from, this is helping everybody, even people who may not be using the accessibility to its full potential, but it's still helping everyone. And that's really important for a developer to understand and keep in mind when building sites. Search engine optimization. This is going to be probably time again. Okay, so part of my organization, there was an issue. I didn't have description embedded into the content, so there was not a concise summary page for the content. Instead, so it would have read through everything, not just given a quick summary of what's there. So that's a problem. I could definitely change that. There's no description text. Progressive web app score. I mean, it says it's fast and reliable on mobile networks. Okay, so it's offline. Where's the problem? I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because I do have an important link here that it kind of, no one would use the page otherwise if the link wasn't there. So I kind of need it to be online. It can't be offline. But that is something that I could implement if the page was important for other reasons, not just this link. This was a homework website, so that's why I need the link, because that's the only thing being graded is that link. So, but yeah, it looks like the major issues here is that it's not usable offline, it won't load, and it cannot be transferred into an app, which I'm not really trying to do. It doesn't really affect accessibility, so I'm happy about that. I don't really care. But if that is something that I were considering, then obviously that would be a problem. But it's just good to keep all these things in mind. Like, know your limits with your site. That's a big one. Knowing the limits of what you can and can't do because of what you've implemented without these audits, excuse me, is important for a developer to know, just so you can understand your site better. So I'm pretty happy with the score. And I'm proud of this site, even though it was kind of a joke site. But if you have any questions about auditing, or you want other suggestions for tools to audit your site, again, I recommend the Wave tool, but Lighthouse is definitely the best way to go, in my opinion, especially if you're new at developing. If you have any questions about auditing or the reasons behind it, like why you should get into it and why you should keep it in mind, just send me an email or post a comment. I'd be happy to help anyone with that. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you.